meeting is called to order. We have a roll call.
I thought he was gonna hit you, Adam.
Yes, all right.
Doesn't
I
Member
know, that's what I thought. It's like, okay, wake up.
Member Onuska.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Member Freckle.
Here.
Member Griffiths.
Here.
All right, Duarte, she did check in with us. Secretary Sutton.
Here.
Vice Chair Todd.
Here.
And Chair McKay. I'm here. All right. Okay, y'all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's make a noise.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I need a motion to adopt the agenda or note any changes.
I move to adopt.
Second,
I'll second.
vote. All in favor of adopting the agenda?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Now we open up the public forum. There are any members of the public on Zoom or here that wish to say anything about anything that's not on the agenda? Okay, Cherie, unmute.
Okay, the volume is very low on the microphone and my phone is all the way up. So I don't know if there's something going on.
Is it all of us or just me?
Yeah, it's everybody,
Okay.
like half the volume.
Okay. Thank you. Are we adjusted? Okay. I believe so. Okay, so we're moving on to the approval of the minutes from our February meeting. Does anybody have any comments or errors to point out? And you have a motion to adopt.
I move that we adopt the minutes.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor of adopting the minutes of the February 18th meeting?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Okay, next item 5, informational reports. The irrigation season application response update.
So we have, we're gonna get you the final numbers because we've been still working through some late applications that came in. We received about 20 to 30 late applications. And some were for additional water, some were for, the same amount. We're trying to go through the priorities based in the ordinance. So let me make sure that staff has had a chance to work through all those numbers because we're still working through them now. And if we can maybe come back to this one at the end. Adam went to go see if the finalized numbers are ready yet.
Okay. Is there anybody that's gonna be turned down for being late?
Not that I know of. The only thing we're worried about is, say, the priority list, because if you come in late, then you go to a lower priority. But I don't believe anybody came in on a line where there was like not enough water to supply them. So that's one of the questions he's gonna go ask to make sure.
Okay, all right, so we're gonna come back to item. We'll move on to item 6A, review of the current and future water seasons with a possible action to identify season concerns and referrals to the board. Go.
Yeah, so very much like we did last year, our recommendation is to go with the May 15th start date and end with the October 15th end date. We saw a lot of real positives within the community, not only for agricultural purposes, but also kind of the new, not very new, but the fire dangers that we're now seeing a little bit more of. So we want to, according to our recommendation, we recommend that's something that continues. Now, obviously, we would like to hear discussion from the board, the committee members. We did receive a comment from committee member Duarte, who was unable to be here because she had some meetings in the valley, that she recommended the 15 to the 15 day, same as we did last year. So I can turn it over to Adam and he can kind of talk about it, but we started spilling in the reservoir on February 6th. So we did receive a bit of late snow, so you know, there's a little bit of snow in the watershed. It's still really warm, so it probably won't last very long. Not as long as last year, but in my opinion, we're still in a pretty good place to have a, you know, the consistent water season, to be able to provide all of our water needs. Obviously, with us being full, we should end up the year about where we ended last year. So Adam, do you have anything you want to add on just kind of where we're at with what the water season and the water year update?
I don't think anything stands out, you know, compared to the previous reports. I think we're in a situation where, you know, we have adequate water supplies, you know, the reservoir is full. We have some snowpack up there, not very much. You know, we did do our snow survey last month. It was pretty low. We'll go up there this month again to have an update on that.
I have a question though. Okay, so let's say October 15th comes and the water goes off and irrigation water shut off. And then on October 17th, the big fire breaks out. And you know, that's always my little pet peeve about the October 15th thing. But so, and you assured me that not assured me, but we talked, in previous times we've discussed it. You said that the board could get water back on.
Correct.
And so we don't need to worry about October fires. The ponds would be good. I mean, as far as we'd have water in the ponds, that's my concern, is would there be water in the ponds to fight a fire in late October?
So let me just, clarify the conversation we had. To answer that is if a major fire broke out on October 17th and we, you know, could foresee that there was a need, I would convene an emergency board meeting. And I know that the board members would also want to convene an emergency meeting. And we've done this in the past. We
Right.
did this in 2022. So
Yeah.
we had an issue in 2022 where the water was going to go off in early September. And I mean, at the same board meeting is when the fire started for the mosquito fire.
Right.
So the board members came back and turned back on the water to make sure that we had water for the Divide community. So I would assure you that the board members are going to take that very seriously. And we'll turn the water back on. Now, to answer your second part of the question is, yes, at October 15th to October, I would say 30th, most of the ponds will stay full.
Right.
So, you know, you fill them up at the end of the season and then all of our reservoirs remain full all the time. So
Right.
we have
Plenty.
Sweetwater, we have Greenwood, we have Walton, those all stay full all the time. So there's usually water within the system, and even by October 17th, there might still be some residual water in the system if we really needed it.
Right. Okay. I feel good. I'm fine with that.
Can you speak to the transfer aspect that's on the charts?
Yeah, so part of this discussion and part of the discussion we have at the board meeting is the ability to develop revenue sources with the water that we have. And so through our modeling and through our information, we have recommended to the board that if a buyer is found, we could recommend anywhere between the 2,000 and the 3,000 acre foot transfer, and it would not affect any of the other water sales, irrigation or treated water throughout the season.
Or the levels of the pond on October 17th?
That is correct, yes. And the levels of those ponds are, where I'm
They're
looking for it.
independent of like.
That's a perfect word, independent of how much water we sell, yes.
Okay, what if a fire occurs in June and we go through the water more quickly? Is that scenario also included in this?
I will tell you, during the mosquito fire, we used around 25 acre feet of water to fight the whole mosquito fire. So it's a lot, but it's not, you know, I don't see it draining the reservoir to the extent that you might think.
There's not much, I mean, really it would have to come out of Stumpy Meadows. There's not a lot left to burn up there. Because everything downstream of there is really, we're.
So you'll cut us
We're-
off so we
we're
can find.
No, we're capacity limited, right? So we couldn't really send much more water. So I'm saying.
Okay,
So he's saying is you'd have to actually take it directly out of Stumpy, like with a helicopter or stuff like that,
or the other ponds.
or the other.
Okay, do we need an action?
So the action is I would say if you want to recommend the Season, what season do you recommend? And I wanted to talk about the billing question you had, so let me have Jessica come in, cause she wanted to kind of talk to that.
And we had a question over, well, you have to
I'm
open
so
it
sorry.
for
It takes about a week to shut the water off, pre-October 15th, doesn't it? Week and a half,
I'm gonna take that
when you shut the water off for the whole system to drain.
Not that long. To turn it on, yes.
And then to turn it on, it's gonna take like 2 or 3 extra days. So the fire's gonna be happening and the water's not even, through the ponds yet.
Yeah, I think the closest example I could give was when we got, it's the best experience we've had with that. Obviously we have our start season or any mountains, turning the canal on in the beginning of the season does take a couple of weeks, nothing, unless we have a late rain, that means the soil's not hydrated, so it, takes up a lot of the moisture. End of season, turning the water off is, really, so that happens pretty quick. When we did see the mosquito fire, we were losing about half our supply before it got to the tunnel. So we dropped off for, I think it was like 3 or 4 days when we had to see the full supply down the whole system, but since the canal was running pretty recently, within, 24, 48 hours, that water was back in the canals within, the whole period was within 5 days. It half of it away, but then we were able to get all the way back to the end. That's because they've been going all season already. So if there's not a big gap, say, if there's not a big gap from October 15th, and we try to start it 2 weeks later, that's gonna take a while. But if we see a fire mid-October, early part of October, and we make a decision, if it's off for a day or so, it's not gonna be a dramatic difference,
And I wanna preface part of this by saying, when the mosquito fire broke out, there was a lot of fire pressure that was already being seen. And it was dry, and it was kind of, there was a lot of things that the district was looking at prior to the fire starting. And I would say that they were being proactive for the most part, so that they could sense that this was coming and they might need to do this. So, we're to address what you said is we're going to continue to monitor the weather, continue to monitor, what's happening, and not let that kind of go away, so that everybody can feel comfortable. We want to make sure that we all have enough water in the system. And if we feel like, hey, if we turn it on for let's maybe an extra week, like there's a lot of fire pressure, let's keep it going for an extra week.
We can do that.
I'm gonna make that recommendation to the board, or the board can make that recommendation to me, or any of you as citizens or committee members can call me and say, hey, you might want to consider this, and then we can address it at that point. So I think that that's something we want to do.
And also remember, during mosquito, we did the fire departments were pulling out of the ditches also.
Yes.
It wasn't just coming out of ponds. So the fact that we did have the ditches full running, that did help, the firefighters, suppress that fire. And as well as, the helicopters and everything else that was running too. So those ditches are important.
Yes. Okay, do we want to make a recommendation as a committee?
I just have one question. Has anyone considered a 6-month season?
So we can
Yes.
do a 6-month season. We've talked about that in the past. The problem where that comes into play is it would have to be for everybody.
Right.
So yeah, everybody would have to agree to do something like that, and that would be a decision that the board would have to make. So you can recommend that, absolutely, but then it would be up to the board to recommend that.
Also, don't we have to deal with that urban water management plan, because it outlines that we're doing 5 months, not 6, so we'd have to go against that.
So we would update the amount of water that we are allocating toward that. It wouldn't necessarily go.
Well-
Timing isn't the issue, it's the amount of water that we use.
Right, but I thought it was also the duration. I think it's what it says.
It sets like a drought number, right? So if you come into like a conservative, like a drought conservation method, then you would, I think that's more where their water management plan would come into play.
Cause I thought it had us like, we have to have
We do have to have a certain amount to start. seeing,
yeah,
whether you're getting that.
we've gotten approval basically to do the 5 months. So there has to be something, and I don't know if it's there, but somewhere it says we got 5 months. So we would have to change some kind of, one by the ordinance, but, or that document.
So it wouldn't necessarily be, in that document, it would be the 5 months. The time frame doesn't really matter. It's the amount of water that they're concerned about. Because if we may say we dug another canal, we could serve more water, but we'd have to then change the document again, if that makes sense.
Right, yeah, but you would be, if you went an extra month, you would be changing that amount.
Yeah, you'd be changing the amount of water. Not that they don't care about how much time. We could serve 9 months as long as we're serving the same amount of water.
Yeah, which we wouldn't be doing.
Correct. So if we're gonna increase the amount, which
Yeah.
would, 6 months would increase, obviously, 1/5 of another,
Right.
that's what they would be concerned about. And so we would have to reach out to them and tell them, here's where we are. And what Adam was saying was, when you hit a certain level, so, Stumpy is 21,000 acre feet, and when you hit levels is when you start going into drought restrictions. So when you get to like 50% of Stumpy, you start hitting these kind of markers of where you start having to have mandatory conservation.
It would also affect rates, would it not? Because you'd be asking people across the board to pay for an extra month. And we've just raised rates based on certain
Yes.
parameters that would no longer be appropriate.
Yes, the answer to your question is a bit of a complicated one. It's
Yeah, I'm
yes
sure.
and no. And I don't think it would go all the way back to where it was, but I think we'd meet somewhere in the middle, because obviously there'd be more revenue, but you'd still have more time and more work to do the same amount of work. So it would definitely have to be
We'd have to look at it.
recalculated.
Okay.
Yes. Before you take your recommendation, I know there was a question about billing cycles and having flexibility in billing. And so I did invite Jessica here today, our office and finance manager, to talk about what options we have for billing. We did have a little bit of a conversation about this at the last committee meeting, so I'll just, was it you, Chair McKay, who had the question
Yes.
about, can you ask your question so that she can hear the question and maybe help answer the question?
Well, my question was, I had asked about the possibility of, paying year round for the irrigation to reduce the burden on payers, especially with the rate increases. And in my memory, in previous years, they said it was tied to the provision of service. You can't charge for when you're not providing a service. And my argument was that by signing the, application in March, you're in essence creating a contract, an annual contract from March to March. Therefore, it's not just the provision, it's a contract. And so could we pay for, for the service over a 12-month period, or 6 months because it's bi-monthly or whatever, but other options that we could have, because the treated customers can reduce the amount of water that they use. That's how they can lower their bills. Whereas the irrigation customers have no way at all to lower their monthly bill.
So I wanna say absolutely yes, we already have irrigation customers that pay year round. So we can always hold a credit on your account, we have multiple, if not dozens of accounts that have pretty large credits. So that when irrigation hits, they're not paying monthly, they've been paying monthly, so we have some people that pay $200 a month, we have some people that pay $50 a month. And it all depends on, what their budgets are, but we can hold credits.
Well, that's
We
good to know.
can,
Is that a generally, no, I didn't know about it.
Yeah, I didn't either. That's good to know.
It's something that has not been advertised as an option. It's great.
it's not really part of our process. It's something the customers budgeted for and decided to do on their own. I've actually had to call
Oh.
people because they are paying way too much. And their credits, even throughout the season, are going up. And so we've called them, can you please set your auto pay to lower? We're gonna have to issue a refund at some point, cause it's like up to $5,000, something
Holy
like that.
cow. There's all of us that take donations.
So they just have it on an auto
That's
pay,
fine,
they're not
yeah.
getting that part. So we do keep track of all of that. So you're more than welcome to pay whatever you want, whenever you want, and it just holds a credit balance on your account.
Okay. Well, knowing that after the discussion that I had, I calculated it, so I will have an equal payment
And you can
through the
start
whole
doing
thing.
that
And I
now.
did that with my application. I sent it in then.
So the other thing is our billing process, we did update our billing process so that we are running 2 billing cycles every 2 months. The way that it was before is irrigation customers and treated water customers were in one side of the system. So we had to run irrigation billing during treated water billing outside of the season, and it would have a zero balance. And so on your bill, or if you were to get a copy of the statement, it would say 0, 0, 0, 0, and then during the season, we'd be billing for the amount of water that you've elected for. So now they're separate, so we don't have to keep doing 2 billing cycles every time, we're just billing throughout the season. But our system doesn't differentiate between customers, so we can't set one customer to bill 12 months and another customer to set for 6 months. The other issue and complication would be, if we do reevaluate the cost of service analysis and it alters what water costs, that would be very complicated to figure out, okay, what did you pay for the first 3 months of the year now that it's different, and then we have to recalculate it all for each individual account, because it's not a blanket system at that point, if you're separating people out.
And of course, these payments that people are making, they have to be in advance. They can't be in arrears. They can't pay $50 a month starting in May of this year and continue it through next year.
Well, it does,
It has to be paid in full by the end of the season.
they would have to follow the ordinance.
That was a clarification.
So
Yeah.
then the question becomes, can that information be disseminated to the irrigation customers to let them know that that is an option available rather than, and I mean, it's too bad we didn't know this last November, December.
Yeah,
So we could have put that out with the application, and then they would have known upfront
Start paying-
instead of
making
taking,
payments.
well, I don't think I can afford, it, so I'm cutting my irrigation.
yes. Good
So it
point.
would have been, like, that's an afterthought, but anyway, to have something in place that we can, make sure in the fall that happens. That in the application, there is a way to do it. To pay, monthly or whatever, and just call ahead, just a little informational part on that application or with that application when it goes out.
I think that's too late. The
Yeah,
application, I think is too late. I think maybe it should be a note made on the last statement for the season.
or it could be done now.
That could be done now.
I think you just have
Right.
to keep in consideration what the rates will be, if the rates are gonna change. I mean, I guess if they're paying monthly, it doesn't really matter what the rates are, if they're paying a standard amount just to catch up. But I wouldn't put a dollar amount on there.
No,
No, I'm not saying that, just that
Just
there is
something we don't have
there
to keep
is an
updating every
option,
year, it could be a standard form.
just
yeah.
the fact, if this is burdensome to you, which especially with the rate increases, you have this option.
Please contact the office.
And
for
please
options.
contact for details.
We just can't call it a payment plan,
No,
because
Yeah.
that has a whole nother definition.
Right.
It-
words count.
Yeah, it doesn't apply to past due accounts.
Is there any more discussion? I don't have no questions on Zoom. Any more discussion here? Well, how about we entertain an action for the season to be May 15th to October 15th with a provision for emergency, extension. That sound
I
good?
like that.
One of you has to
I'm
make.
so sorry. I was trying to talk to our director Thornbrook because he can't get into the Zoom. Would you mind saying that one more time? I'm so sorry.
You can come here.
Yeah, we can.
He was here. He wasn't feeling well.
Let's have a motion to recommend to the board that the season be May 15th through October 15th with provisions for an emergency extension as required, or as
Yes,
Needed.
necessary,
Perfect.
as needed.
One of you has to make that motion.
Yeah, I can't make,
Oh,
I just suggested
I
the
move
wording.
that we copy that. I second.
So just for, you are able to make motions.
Oh, I am?
Yes.
Okay, well then I make the motion.
You get the whack.
Motion made. Anybody second it?
Yeah,
I'll second it.
Okay,
that's why you don't see me ever make them.
That's silly.
okay, what was this?
Oh,
No, we're talking amongst
The-
ourselves.
within our ordinance, it says the president cannot make a motion.
That's what I thought.
And so that's why I can't make motions. Everybody else makes motions. So I would assume it would fall under with you too.
That's what I was assuming.
But
so-
we have been, there has been a recommendation, we need to fix
I'm not
that
present.
part of our
Okay.
policy that it doesn't say that anymore.
Work on it.
Yes, I mean, I don't care.
Words count.
Some of your rules and regulations are all wrong.
Okay, so now, We have a motion, it's been seconded.
Mhm.
Are we legal with it? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Yay, perfect.
We will
We did
disseminate
it.
that to the
Quick
board at
question.
the April meeting.
We were talking about extending it. If it stopped raining now and it got really dry and we start seeing fires, did you start it early?
Yeah, we have the option to, what is it, about 2 weeks to kind of prepare, so that would be our, I mean, it got dry today and we had to kind of foresee that. But it would take us about two weeks to kind of ramp up to full operation, but yes, we absolutely could, it would be a board decision.
I mean, we'll know because we'll start getting fire calls, right? When we start getting
Yeah.
Controlled burns, or extending, right, and we're getting like 3 a day, we know it's getting dry and.
Sure, when watch duty starts pinging your phone every 5 minutes.
Do we have a formal connection for that? I mean,
What's that?
other than you being on our committee, a formal connection between fire and water to say, hey, we're seeing this thing?
Yeah, so we did start a meeting with all the different fire departments here in the
Okay.
Divide community. So we met with all the chiefs, we met with the chief from Georgetown, Chief Brown, we met with West sent a captain. And we met with Chief Cordero from the El Dorado County, so we have opened a line of communication at our behest so that they can understand what we are able to offer them.
Excellent. Good to hear.
And they actually offered to call us when they have a major fire so that we can help them isolate the system and kind of be there on standby to help them.
That's good. That's really good.
Okay, action item 6B, develop an irrigation customer survey.
So this is something that we did last year and it was brought up again this year to see if the committee had the appetite for another survey to find out some more information. I'm sorry, that wasn't last year. We talked about doing it last year and we decided not to do it
Because of expense.
because of expense and lack of response from the last survey. So if the committee is interested, we can reevaluate this. Again, it will cost whatever it costs in postage and return service and stuff like that. So this is more of a discussion item for you all as a committee, if this is something you want to see, if there's some different questions you want to be answered. We put this back on as a committee request and wanted to have you all make a discussion about this.
I'm gonna open up the discussion by saying, from the 2018 survey, items 1, 2, and 3 can be gotten from the customer accounts. So it seems repetitive to ask them, I mean, that you have information on every customer, what size service they have and what they use it for,
In the application.
right?
Yes, I think the last couple questions though are with the
Oh, absolutely.
probably the
Is it
ones
one,
that you
two,
really want to know the
one,
answer
two,
to. Yeah, yeah,
You don't need them, that's my point.
yeah, no, I totally agree with you. That's what I'm saying. The 4 and 5 are probably the most survey questions you want. And I mean,
Do we have a survey?
it's in the packet.
On the page, yeah, looks like this.
Looks like it's page 14. And page 13.
Right after the summary table and the outlook, the map page.
Okay, so I'm not there yet, but can we put this on the computer so that they would type it in?
You mean like they could answer the questions on the computer?
And it come to us via email? And the responses would be, instead of putting it on paper,
That's a good
put it
idea.
on electronic paper, and that would eliminate most of the cost.
Sure, we could utilize
Find the
a
survey.
program like Survey Monkey or something like that to do it.
You did?
That's, I would,
Oh, there it
Of
is.
course, I can't find it now.
we would still probably have to have board approval to
there
do that, cause it would take
Oh,
staff
look,
time
I
and
just
stuff
went
like
back
that.
to it.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
it's in there.
It's
in
cost, but not direct cost. There wouldn't be printing and.
I would have, my only question is, if you send it out to that many people, there may be a direct cost. And I don't know, when you do Survey Monkey, you can do like like up to a certain amount
Right.
before you start to incur costs. I don't know. That's not my forte. Honestly, that would be
Well, you
something
can also
that
break it down.
Liz would help me with, and maybe Liz can help answer some of these questions.
You
can find out.
Break the survey down and say, send it to the 1-inch customers, send it to the, X amount of customers, and you reduce that number.
Yeah, we could we could,
We can
work
figure
with it.
Go ahead, Liz.
Oh, I will say that, last time, the majority of the responses we got were digital, only 12 were via the mail. And we still saw, I think it was in the ballpark of 10% responses, so.
But
That's not terrible.
bad.
How does Water Smart do anything?
We can set it up to do it.
It would still, it would be the same pulling the information down. Obviously, it would cost, it would have to make an account, because we already have an account.
Right. So
But they would still have to fill out a form, potentially print it out, scan it back in. They don't have like the ability to have check boxes in WaterSmart, I don't think. It would still just come out like an email. But like SurveyMonkey, they could click the box.
More
And
direct.
yeah, they could do the survey and we would get the results more directly.
There are PDFs that you can fill in and return by email as well, that you can do off and right.
Yeah,
Can you send files through WaterSmart?
I don't think I've tried with a mass, custom reach out, but I know individually you can.
If we're only gonna put basically 2 questions on it. Right, is that what I'm hearing?
Look, everything else is on the
That's what I'm saying.
application, so really
we're
it's
looking
like,
at 4 and 5.
right,
It looks like the second page is missing.
oh,
The first page is on there twice, page 2 is missing.
Yeah. what's on
But,
page two?
but page
Oh,
2
yeah.
is the same as page 1.
Looks like there was questions 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. According to the results.
oh, I don't have page
yeah.
2.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Application process.
Same.
It's yeah, page
This is
1,
a-
You're
we
right.
have 2 page 1s.
This is that big survey that went out in 2018.
Yeah.
Cause I was gonna say with this one, I thought this was the whole survey,
Right.
but they're really the 2 questions, and we could put that in a bill. It's like, are you happy?
We
What's
get
wrong?
very little response from stuff like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that costs about probably $3,000 to $4,000 to add that to the bill.
Oh, holy cow, okay, well, that's not.
Yeah, any
smart.
kind of bill inserts are very expensive.
Because you're only gonna hear from people who have a
Still,
complaint,
costs $2,500 to.
in
fill
all
the box.
likelihood.
Oh,
Well,
that sounds like you and Dad, Rowan.
I know, it's like,
It
well,
sounds like our billing
Figure it out.
software needs to be updated. What I would recommend, yeah, for all of them, yeah. What,
400.
what I would recommend is we can put this on a online survey platform, see what it would cost to send this out to the 400 or 500 customers that we have. And we could do it that way. I can bring this to the board and we can talk about that. Obviously, if the costs aren't high, then they're within my assigning authority. We can make that determination. But if the board wants to approve that, then I'll look to President Seaman and just make sure that I get proper direction from her on how to proceed with this item. But my guesstimate would be to keep it digital, because you get more response if you keep
Okay.
it digital.
yeah.
And what is your timing, that you're thinking?
Uh,
Just
I'm-
whenever.
Well,
I guess what's the purpose of the survey
Can I give you
information?
my 2 cents on it?
That'd be great.
Just real quick. One, I think you guys should go through this and determine what's important and what isn't,
Mhm.
to drill it down to see what exactly you're looking at.
Mhm.
What was, what's the purpose and what information you're trying to get and what you're gonna do with it once you get it. So that may be, maybe we need to thin this crop down a little bit so it's more user friendly on what,
How many? Yeah,
what the questions actually are that are
What do we wanna know?
current, in this current survey, just the questions, there's, a lot of crap in here. And then go from there of, are we looking to improve the billing or improve the information? What the complaints are, if we get them back, if that's what we're trying to get, I do like, how satisfied are you with your overall service? That should be a big one.
Yeah,
And do you have any recommendations or suggestions? But then go through the rest of them, cause like you said, 1, 2, 3 are already given on the application, so that's information we don't need again. So that would be my thought, is maybe just come clean this up and come back next month. Do we have a next month?
The thing is, would we get anything different than we have in front of us here? I mean,
Well,
people want
2018.
more options for billing,
Right.
people want a lower cost, right? And they want less leaks and, things like that on their property. They're just gonna say the same things over again. I mean, what else could they say?
So that's what you guys have to decide.
Let's take a look at it.
I mean, the only thing we don't know is if you keep increasing the rates, how many people are gonna drop off,
Right,
right? That's the only question that's unanswered at the moment.
I think that's a big question.
It is,
Because
yeah.
once we lose a lot of people, guess who's paying the bill?
Yeah.
The ones that are left.
Yep.
Exactly.
So we
And,
already have
and we
that
need to
information.
draw as many people in and sell water to as many people as we can,
'Cause the
especially
applications
if they're
were
on,
here.
on the ditch.
Oh, right.
You should be maybe personally going out and meeting some of these people,
So we may have that information.
you know?
say that, repeat that.
Is that a yes?
I missed the question.
Do we know how many we've gained or lost? from
Yeah,
last
I
year?
did, we were talking about that when you asked.
Right, that's why I was like, wait a minute, I think we got the information sitting over here.
So in 24, we had 371 customer accounts. In 25, we so far have 360. So that's 11 less. And then the miners inches are 492 in 24 and 474 in 25. So that's
20.
18.
Which is down from 2018.
That would be
Yeah.
another question. We'd have to do some,
That's a
last time
before
we-
Nick question.
I'm so sorry.
It's a before Nick.
Well, we have we have it, I would have to pull.
I'm
it
just, I'm just referring to what's, in
up.
the,
I might have
there's a
that.
survey said it was 403 customers at the time.
I would like to see those figures.
We've
from before.
done them here before. I think I might be able to pull them up. Hold on.
Before the first 218,
Uh,
the rate, that rate hike to now, what the total loss was.
That would be.
yeah,
I'd like to see that.
we have that. I can tell you. Let me see, this is, yep, okay. So 2018. We had 534 accounts. Sorry, 399 active accounts,
And repeat the
What was the
2024.
third, 5?
371, so we lost 18 accounts since 2018.
And how many inches?
In inches,
561 to 492. Sorry, that's from last year, confirmed last year. This year, it's a little less than that, so
Was that any
Right.
certain region or all the way through
it's the whole system.
the whole
So
system?
561 was 2018
Yes, ma'am.
in 2024, you said,
and
The number you
2024
gave
was
was wrong.
492. No, I gave the number, I want to make sure you understand, it was what we sold last year, so not this coming year.
so it's, 2024.
492.
Oh, so we don't have, until you go through all the applications and assign everything,
Well, they
we won't
have
know
that.
those figures for this year.
So
That
far
one
it's
here.
474, but we don't know until we're done. And we will still accept applications up until the season.
So we lost 69 from 2018 to 2020.
69 what?
68.
Inches.
Inches.
No, you're right, 69. Yeah, sorry. Bad math.
Okay, and then now if we're looking at it, we've dropped another
18.
18.
So
83 inches we've lost.
we lose
Who have the lowest?
consistently between 10 and 15 every year from 2018 to 2023, so
Inches or customers.
inches, so 561. And then in 2019, we went to 534.5. 2020 was 524, so that's minus 10.5. 21, we lost about 9. 22, we lost 1.5. And then into 23, it's 13. And then from 23 to 24, 9. No, just 9.
Oh,
9.5, sorry.
okay.
And then the customers were 2018, $3.99, 2019, $3.95, 2020, $3.82. I got a typo for 2021, so I'm sorry I can't give you, it's $3.80 something. I'm guessing $3.82. 2022, we got more. We actually went up one customer to $3.83. In 2023, we actually went up customers as well, $3.86. So $3.85, excuse me, $3.85. So we actually gained customers but lost interest in 2022 and 2023.
Question on your left.
Yes, sir. I apologize.
What gets me is the water's going down the ditch anyways. And you need to entice people to get irrigation. Lower the rates. Get them in, you'll sell more water and you'll make more money. Simple.
We can't.
I made it on, start over.
Unfortunately, we can't
Oh,
operate like that.
All right.
We wish.
Well, we did as a committee
I
say,
think you gotta.
go out to the public, advertise this, and I'm not sure that what we got back.
So, I mean, we've tried to advertise, we've had meetings, we've had discussions, we've talked to people.
Did you put it in the newspaper? Did you put
We
it?
put in the newsletter, we've put out
That's for
water.
current customers.
Well, it would be for all customers, though, even customers who are treated water customers too.
you ever send out, something in the mail, sign up for irrigation water?
I think our biggest limiting factor is just the geography of irrigation customers next to the canal. Like, we get customers all the time that want irrigation water, but they're 10 miles from the canal or 10
Yeah.
miles from the
And not in the
canal,
right
it's just not
place.
feasible. Not
But
their business.
What about the addresses where the people that quit?
Yes,
Yeah, sometimes they have reduced, you know, they don't want more water, they don't wanna manage their land like they used to.
But also you have the ones that have sold their property and don't necessarily know that there's irrigation available.
That's true.
And that happens a lot. And
Yeah,
I
that's
can
a-
tell you, when I came to the board, I knew there was irrigation to the property, but this was the old system, that I couldn't get information out of GPUD to find out exactly what I needed to do, and it was like a battle to find out what was going on. Now, cultures change, but you still have to know to come up and bang on this door here or make that call to get that information, so maybe another avenue is when I don't know, the county makes that sale, information that goes out to that new property owner.
And I think that's something internal we could do, because we do property transfers and we could, you know. We always see if the customer had an account previous and use that as transfer to the customer, we could, you know, do maybe more of a flyer, maybe, you know, that.
Right, because if they don't know that,
Yeah,
you know, I just happened to, I found, you know, mine had irrigation at one time, and that was, I had that as part of the information
yeah.
to the, to me as a buyer. But I'm not sure all, you know, realtors are doing that to promote.
Yeah, most time they are, because, you know, it's a benefit for the seller, but I mean, I'm sure there's some are getting through the cracks, so we could, you know.
So then,
On the application, you have parcel number. Is there any way to attach on a parcel that there is a possibility or the proximity or anything like that?
we can't control a lot of that kind of stuff.
Because I mean, you know, bonds and all kinds of things are gone through title companies when you purchase a home.
Yeah.
You know, restrictions and easements and all that sort of thing. I'm just curious.
Since it's not a water right to the home, that's when they're usually attached.
It's an option.
It's an option, but we've had people who say, well, we saw this on our deed or on our thing,
Okay.
and now we it's a right, so it's not a water right. This is a water availability,
Right.
and that's where I think we run into we wanna make sure that we're communicating how it is.
well, the service is available. It may be available if you apply, but if you don't know it's there to be able to apply, that's kind of a problem.
Well, this, what Adam said was, a lot of people call in for service and we could give it to them, but they would have to pay to get it to them. And so some of it is that, so once they find out that there's a cost associated with getting water,
And that means they have to dig a ditch, or they have to do a pipe, or they
Correct.
have to do some physical.
Or, yeah, or they have to obtain easements, or they have to pump the water from where they're located. So not everybody wants to take on those additional costs of the water. But we can reach out to previous customers. I mean,
Could you send an inactive, if you're an inactive too, like inactive parcel, we do send every applications of those every year.
Do you or don't you?
We do,
we do.
yeah.
So I'm assuming the people who drop or lower the inches is cost.
There's a couple of factors. Cost is definitely one of them. When the backflow requirement came out, that's also a little bit of a contributing factor, because that's another thing you have to install on your treated water, and you have to have that inspected every year. So
Yeah.
we've had people who have resisted that, and we have to shut them off from our side because of a California law. So is that as many from cost? Probably not, but it's still a recognized percentage.
Sizable number.
Yeah, I would say it's a sizable number.
Yeah, to take that on as a cost.
It's like
So
$12.
if more people were aware that they could pay over a 12-month period, they wouldn't look at the rates going up and saying, I can't afford this.
I mean, that's a question for every individual, so I can't
But
answer that.
since
No,
nobody
but I
seems to be
think-
aware that that wasn't even an option,
Yeah.
Mhm.
all they're looking at is the bill they get, and they're like, see the rates go up again this year, and they're like, yeah, we
It
can't
is a
afford that
lot
this
for
year.
every 2 months. It is a lot.
Yeah, that's what it's- It's, I'm just like shocked that it's a 2-month billing, and then you get 2 months, 2 months, and then 1 month. It just like makes no sense at all. Why wouldn't you
That's how you
bill
work.
monthly? Right? And then for people who are on fixed income, why wouldn't you spread it out over the year?
So my recommendation is if we have a billing change you wanna make, I don't think that it's a problem to change the billing. The issue you are gonna run into is we have to change it for everybody. So we can't have like John gets a 5-month billing and Ray gets an 8-month billing and Carla gets a 10-month billing and Fran gets a 12-month billing. So whatever is decided, we would be happy to accommodate our customers. But we have to, the board and myself have to disseminate to the customers that it's changing for everybody. And so, kind of alert, we're not doing the 5-month billing anymore. We're now doing something different.
Oh,
So
there's the survey.
There's
That's what I
survey.
brought
Yeah,
up last
exactly.
time.
Very good.
Last meeting, I said that. It's like, that's one of the questions you're going to ask. Do you want a month by month for 5 months, or do you want 6 month, every other month, or 12 months, right?
Sure.
Something that's
yeah,
more consistent,
You
right?
do it,
It's almost
12-month
as
billing
is or 12 months.
Yeah.
You get
For
two
that
choices,
season. people could,
so
people
we,
could afford it more if they spread
Yeah,
it
if
over
you
a year.
drop that, and I don't know
you
what each month
what the
would be, but it would be
Yeah.
much more appealing to, I think, everyone.
I think we can develop some questions and I think we can send it out digitally. So the question is are you happy with the current billing structure? Is that your question?
That would
And
be
then the
question, yeah.
follow-up
Yeah.
question is, if you're not happy, how could we change the billing structure? Is that what I'm getting?
I
at?
Right, and you
I
can't-
don't think, are you happy with the billing structure will
Just
give you
say.
anything. I think you need to be direct with a question.
Okay,
Yes.
So what if we gave them a ranking question with a choice of spreading out over months and then they
Right.
rank their choices? Does
That sounds great.
Seems like
Yeah.
a multiple, multiple choice question.
Yeah, but if you limit it to 3, it limits the options.
Right. or
You
you-
know,
so what are the three? We have 5 now.
Right,
could do,
or would you like to pay for
We don't
12?
have 5.
No,
5 months.
5 months.
So it's 3 over 5 months, right?
So you have a,
5,
so 3 bills,
Correct.
the current
Or-
is 3 bills,
Right,
5 bills,
5 bills
Or
or
12.
12 bills.
yeah,
Right.
and just
Show
make
how
it
much it
where
would
they have
be.
only those options. Or I
yeah,
guess
only
put
those.
the other at the end,
Yeah.
but, because if you give it that vagueness, they're gonna,
Yeah.
they won't come up with
Well,
anything.
yeah, they, yeah,
No,
right, I
I
agree.
understand. I wanna know what kind of questions, we'll ask whatever question we think
Right.
is best.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Seems like if you only have 3 options that
yeah,
most people can figure out,
yeah.
which one looks good to me.
Especially if
but
you
if
break
it's-
the price down.
And as I said, put the
Yeah,
price down,
it's like,
what it
oh,
is
yeah, 50
monthly,
bucks a
bill
month?
per bill.
Yeah.
is-
Yeah.
So that's where it gets a little harder to actually put a dollar figure to it, because and
For
I'm
what
just gonna use, I'm gonna use President Steve as a guinea pig. How many inches do you get
I'm saying, but as for the example, you just put 1 inch.
Yeah, you put 1 inch,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's what the cost
People
would
could do the
be
math,
for
Right,
And
1
everybody
inch
multiply,
for
right?
those
So-
3 months.
yeah.
That's fine.
But
And
you also
then-
need to preface it with, we are considering alternatives to our billing cycle. If you had a choice, you don't just say, do you want?
Yeah, if you, yeah, I like
I
that.
figured we'd sell
We're looking
more
at the
water
IT.
if you did it like that, because what
So
kills
real,
you
so
is you only got
realistically, you
so
want
many
this
months
to
of
be written
irrigation
out
season,
and come
and
back
where do you
to
get that money
this
out of
group,
your, out of
to be
your,
able to review.
your,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be
Yeah.
going
your
through and
monthly
making.
And
budget?
if we're,
you know?
if we're doing 174 per inch per month.
For 2 months. Per month,
Okay, so that would make, without dividing it in two, so that would be $72, $73 every 2 months. Divide that by 2 and you would get per inch. What it would be like $35 per inch? Somebody needs to
No,
check the
Is
math.
that, no, it's more like 72
Yeah.
a month.
72
Yeah,
a
so-
month, okay.
Yeah, so
But
if you did the 5 months, it would be,
It'd be 174 a month.
How much a month?
Well, whatever the inch cost is.
Oh,
that's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
it is per month,
yeah.
you did 5 months.
but then if you did it by 12 months, you would have to just
just divide that.
divide that by 12. Well, multiply it by 12 and then
250,
It's not high level rocket science.
right?
I think we can come up with a question.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's perfect. That's the survey really we need. Everything else, I think,
Well, and
We're
4
good.
and 4 and 5.
Well, and I would also, I don't know if we can do this, but if,
Oh, yeah.
for those, did you reduce your number of inches last year and why?
Probably.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and we can't really survey people who cut off entirely
True.
in this, but that would also be, something to know. If you canceled your service, why?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Is
we
it a
could,
cost or do you just don't use it
Right.
anymore?
And you just put in a free text box.
Yeah.
yes, we can do that. So the problem with that is we'll have to send that to everybody, which is fine. We can absolutely do that. But there might be customers who never had service. So say you sold the property.
For irrigation, if you have irrigation service,
No, I'm just saying, like, say, you moved, you were a customer
okay.
and then you moved.
So we're gonna send this to all customers, not just irrigation customers?
No, you don't let me finish. If you want to talk about people who are not customers anymore,
Oh.
based on their
Yeah, I
APN,
figured you couldn't do that probably, but it would be good to know.
we could send it to the parcel number, basically, send it to
I
the.
mean, it would only be, 18 or 11 or it's not that many.
And I think Survey Monkey is 100 questionnaires.
I will do some research, even if it's pay for a small service, we can pay for it.
Okay, so I think as a committee, we have some homework for next time. Let's come up with questions that we want the answers to.
And we'll disseminate these questions down, so we don't need you to, don't think about this billing question, we'll come with a couple billing questions.
Okay,
And then I'll let Liz kind of take the meeting notes from billing 3, 5, 12 months. And then why did you cancel your service? So think if there's anything else you want to add,
right,
then we can go from there.
Yeah, but at least
That's
put
right.
it back in and get it clean, so.
Right.
You have something clean and clear to work with instead of, because this is cumbersome and crazy.
it's interesting. But
And Liz, would it be possible for you to email the whole survey?
Yeah.
Please.
the second page,
Well, if there's, how many pages? Somebody said there was more than that.
There's 10 questions.
no.
There's 10
it's in
questions.
the-
Oh, just
it's in
2
five
pages?
questions.
Oh, okay. I thought there was more than that. Okay.
No, there's 10.
Okay, so, the possible action of developing recommendations is
It works
not
for
gonna be, there's no action to be about it as far as emergent, right?
I think you want to just ask if there's any public comment. I did receive an email from a public member that said they were having a hard time raising hands, so maybe just ask.
Okay, Alexis, do you have any questions?
I think it's Cherie. Alexis,
She
our
did
employee.
help.
Cherie, do you have any questions?
I do. There's no raise your hand thing on the Zoom call.
Yeah, I've been looking.
I don't know why.
Okay,
Yeah, it's not there. Well, there's no hand for me to click like it normally is.
Should be.
Has the billing, okay, my question is, has the billings gone out for this season?
I don't think so yet.
I haven't got one.
I would have to check
So,
with our bank.
when do they usually, you don't know when they go out?
After service starts,
Yeah,
they
2
right,
months after service starts.
or a
No.
couple
No,
weeks.
you go, they should
Oh,
be going.
I thought it was prior to service.
It is prior to.
Is it? Oh, okay. It's right around that same time though, isn't it? I think so.
We think around May first is when they
I think
first
that's
build
when
it.
it
Yeah, I
is.
think so too.
We start hitting in May.
Means they go
Okay.
the same, to the water side.
Just, the astronauts just landed in the ocean, by the way.
Yeah.
SpaceX, they just splashed down, so they're on Earth. Hi.
Anyway, Alexis.
still alive?
She's a
Nine,
staff
nine
member. She is-
months.
Mike, Alexis was.
Yeah, they're alive.
So real quick, Miss Cherie, I think you may wanna look under reactions to raise your hand. So that's where I think you may find it. So just if you find it under there, that'd be awesome. If you don't, we'll try to find it somewhere else.
Well, Zoom did an update, so they're kind of like by the reaction emojis now.
Okay. moving
Okay,
on.
yeah, I see it now. It doesn't tell you that, but
It's, unfortunately, that's not us, that's Zoom, sorry.
Okay, is that it, Sheree? Okay, Alexandra, go.
Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry I missed the meeting. I just wanted to say that my Zoom's been working fine the whole time. So I know you've heard a couple of people say they had issues, but I've got great video quality and great sound quality from where I am at. And that was pretty much it. Otherwise, I'm listening and agree with everything you guys have done, and I can't vote. So, but I am here and I am listening.
Okay. Okay, Mike, did you have something?
You have to unmute that.
Nope. Well, I had to sign up. I had to create an account in Zoom just to use Zoom, and that's a new thing. So I had to go through all that because it wouldn't let me on, but eventually figured it
We're
out.
talking about irrigation.
Nope.
Thank you.
I
Okay,
like the, well, I do like, what you do as far as the survey and stuff. And I think Donna kind of was hitting on this as well, is that, you need to come up with the finished product to submit to the board, have it all ready to go and finished and present it like that's what's gonna happen, so. That's it, that's all I got.
You don't want us to do it.
Oh, true. So is that all the public comments? So we're not going to, or that's gonna be on an agenda item for next month.
We'll bring back questions and then you guys can add questions and then we'll bring it to the board.
That's the April agenda. Okay. Item 6C, review amendments to the ordinance 2024-01, irrigation rules and regulations.
So, our finance department asked to have a couple amendments reviewed and changed within the ordinance. And if you go to page 7 of 11, we took out a word and added a sentence. It says if the bill remains unpaid, instead of being delinquent for at least 45 days, the district may discontinue irrigation service to the service address. And then B, if a bill remains unpaid, we will discontinue irrigation service on the 45th day from the billing date. This is a little bit changed. It's we were originally utilizing language that was in our original water. What's the word I'm looking for? Similar to treated water, and since this is raw water, it's different and it's billed different. And so by the time we hit the 90-day mark, which is what it originally said, we had a problem with basically the whole season was almost over and we didn't have any recourse against some customers. So that's where this change comes from. And then if you go to the next page, we're just removing the ability to have a payment arrangement. And then the final one is on page 9. And it says, instead of having a $75 immediate reconnection, we're just doing the $25 at the district's convenience. We don't have the ability to do an immediate reconnection, which is like with treated water, you have to have certain for health services, you have to be able to go out there almost immediately or offer that to them. Whereas with irrigation, we don't have to have that. And then the last one is, an end of season lockoff fee of $25 will be applied to all accounts with an unpaid balance after November 1st. So I would be, open to discuss any of these, potential changes.
The problem or question I have is, we had a change in June 6, 2024. So section 5B, it said, all bills for water service are due and payable upon receipt and shall be considered delinquent if not paid within 30 days after the date of the bill is issued by the district, which point a 10% penalty is imposed. So that didn't get added to this one. And then there's a whole discontinuation of service for non-payment, as well as posting notice of service at address, restoration of service. There is a $75 reconnection fee listed already, and the 25 conveyance upon verification to the service. So we put this in place in 2020.
So there's, the 75 is being removed, that one.
Okay, but the other parts aren't in here about the 30 days.
Yeah,
It says within 1 month, and we had changed it to 30 days.
the B and G do not. Relate.
I know, but this isn't correct. This isn't the current,
Oh, it's not even correct. It's
The current ordinance.
yeah, because this came out in June.
Oh. Okay.
We were having this stick back and forth. We were trying to figure this out, and when we pulled it up, that was what was done in June, and it wasn't put in here until this is added to. I guess they were going off the old version and not the new updated version.
Well, if we,
Mike has a comment as well. I'm assuming it's,
We don't want to talk to him.
I wanted to read now. We call on Mike.
Yeah, but there's a 24.
Oh.
Ordinance.
Did I make him?
I think that's a good catch, Donna.
What?
I said, I think that's a good catch. But I think on the 45 days, page 7 of 11.
Yeah.
Gives it 45 days. Is that, can we go lower?
can we go, are you asking if we can go lower on the amount of days?
Yeah,
We can go whatever days you want, yes.
I mean, above it says, I mean, the wrong data says the 1 month.
Yeah, see, the one says month and it's supposed to be 30 days. And then, I
They
didn't
should
think we,
match.
I didn't think we did G. We didn't make any changes to G. Oh, wait, there's G. Is that G down there in the bottom?
D is what he's proposing.
Where that? G, return checks. Nope, that's discontinuing service. So I think maybe this one,
that's the one we're talking about.
no, I know, I'm. Return checks.
That's H, so we're adding. Return checks is under H.
That's under H, but it's different than what the ordinance, the changes to the ordinance was. So I don't think this is correct.
Seems to me one number, the 30 days or the 45 days, just needs to be consistent, right?
Well, no, the whole ordinance needs to be consistent, and that's not what's here.
We'll need to make sure that we have the ordinance and bring it back to the next meeting.
Yeah, let's just do that, then we don't have to figure it out.
The other thing I'd like to point out is under G, the next paragraph, it still says if a bill is delinquent. And you've changed the delinquent wording to unpaid. At the very bottom of page 7.
Yes, I see what you're.
Hey, Steve, want to shut that door? Please? Thank you. Thank you very much.
So we're gonna come back to this as well.
Yeah, we'll have to bring it back.
Yeah.
Okay, so that goes on the April agenda.
We'll cut that one up.
I would make it consistent all the way through, even looking further on where it says the amount of delinquency, we might want to say the unpaid amount.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Okay, so shall we move back to item 5 or move to item 7?
I think item 5 is the numbers that we shared within the last item, so we don't really have other information from them.
Okay, then agenda item 7, irrigation committee member comments and reports. Anyone?
Got a report, Ray?
Any customer? Any input, questions, remarks? Okay. Moving right along, the agenda items for the next committee meeting. I have that we are going to come back to the agenda, or I'm sorry, the survey
Survey in the ordinance.
and the ordinance. Is there anything else that we want to bring?
We
can't
made the
think of anything.
recommendation to the board.
We did that, that was moved. Well, then we're gonna move on and we're going to, go, the next meeting date is going to be on April 15th, tax day. So, fill out your forms before that. Any problems with that date?
I'll be out of town.
Okay. Sorry.
If you wanna make, I don't mean to, if you wanna make any comments beforehand, you're welcome to email me and I can read them, or we can, you know, for the survey and stuff like that.
Okay.
Or ask Alexis if there's any problem with it too. And she's on the,
Alexandra,
oh, Alexander, sorry.
she's not there anymore.
Oh,
She might have bounced stuff.
sorry. I just saw the A up there.
But if there was to be a change, it could be made and we'd be notified appropriately.
Yeah, if we don't have a quorum, we'll reach out to make a change.
Okay, well then, do I hear a motion for adjournment unless there's something else that we need to discuss?
So we'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning?